When I first started drawing many years ago, all I did was draw stick figures from my Let's start again. When I first started drawing many years ago, all I did was draw stick figures from my imagination. I didn't really do studies or practice any form of drawing. All I did was draw, and art classes in school didn't provide much structure to the learning process either. Because of this, my art skill developed slowly and without any foundation. But now that I am wiser, more determined, and more driven, I believe it's time to go and tackle those art fundamentals one by one so that I can fortify the art skills I have developed and build on top of them. That being said, what are the art fundamentals? Now, I'm sure that most of you have an idea of what the art fundamentals are, and depending on who you ask, you will get a different set of answers almost every time. The list I have put together consists of the fundamentals I remember being taught throughout my life, a more universal approach to visual creativity. It is up to you as the creator to pick and choose which of these fundamentals apply most to the type of art you wish to make. The primary fundamentals are line, shape, space, form, perspective, value, textures, color, and composition. What I believe would be secondary fundamentals include gesture, anatomy, brushwork, industrial, and architecture. Now, these secondary ones depend a lot more on what you decide to specialize in as an artist, and you need not master each one completely in order to receive the benefits of them. I should also add that in understanding the primary fundamentals, the secondary fundamentals become a lot easier to understand. Now, before I move on, I think it's best that I mention the principles of design as well. In my youth, I used to confuse the art fundamentals and the principles of design, often merging them into one list. And like the art fundamentals, the principles of designs vary between sources. The ones I align with include balance, contrast, emphasis, variety, unity, proportions, rhythm, movement, and pattern. Though we will not be talking about any of them in this video moving forward, in fact, all we will be discussing are the general meanings and uses of all the primary fundamentals. In future videos, I will go into explaining my process for understanding and practicing each of the fundamentals so that we can take a step closer to mastering them. But before that, I would just like to say, welcome to Edenwick, a place where I share my dangerous creative journey so that myself and others can learn from it. You will see me write, you will see me draw, and you will see me fail. But most importantly, you will see me grow. If you like art, writing, and videos related to them, then don't be afraid to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I'm hoping together we can build a creative community that promotes growth and productivity for beginner and intermediate creatives, so we can help each other transcend and reach greatness. Now, on to the video. First up on the list, line, the basic building block and first step to drawing, often taught as this. But if you are like me, then you are mostly using it like this. Depending on the medium, you can change the size and texture of a line as well as its opacity. Depending on how the line is drawn, its meaning and purpose within the drawing can change, and with line variety, you can make your drawings feel more dynamic by implying form or movement. Shape, the result of closing off a line. We all know what shapes are, and we all know what they turn into. Yet some avoid learning to draw them accurately and consistently out of boredom. But in understanding the basic shapes, you can better create forms and craft designs. Shapes can be used in compositions or to enhance a drawing by exaggerating features. They can even be turned into patterns to put in a more complex drawing or painting. Space. The empty bits of a drawing. Often overlooked and unused pieces of paper. But space is more complicated and useful than that. In putting a character on a canvas, you turn the area surrounding it into space. If you add a background and don't have space for the character to stand out, then the overall composition will get confusing and hard to look at. On top of that, if there is no empty space within the character's design itself that will offer a point of rest, then the design will be confusing and hard to look at. In this sense, the space around a character is usually open, or at least the opposite of what the rest of the drawing is, and the lower half of the characters usually offer rest, since the focal point of the character is their face. Form. Understanding this fundamental is the primary key to being able to draw anything. By drawing and combining shapes as well as manipulating them in the third dimension, one is able to produce form, an illusion that makes marks and flat surfaces seem to be 3D. Not as if it's jumping off the page, but as if there is a world within the page that the drawing resides in. Everything is made up of forms, some simple and some complex, some round and some geometric. Perspective. Now, if you have been drawing forms, you have been drawing them in a perspective. The issue comes when it's time to draw them in the perspective. Perspective, when it comes to drawing, is the act of drawing something in a way that creates the illusion of it moving or receding back into space. It's mostly talked about in the same breath as landscape drawings and backgrounds, but it's used in more ways than that. Sometimes it's a building or a set of buildings, but sometimes it's an object, and sometimes it's a person. Add some foreshortening, and you can create a lot of complex images from any angle. Of course, if you are unable to draw basic forms and manipulating forms in different angles, then you will have a hard time drawing perspective accurately. Value. The manipulation of light and dark on a canvas to show what surfaces are brighter than others or which surfaces are in light and shadow. Notice how I didn't just say light and shadow. It's important to understand that based on the colors used in a piece, the values of those colors often change whether there is a light source or not. This is important to understand when designing characters and when working on illustrations, because different values of the same color may be used throughout a piece in order to keep it from being flat. The values of a piece will practically double whenever light and shadow gets involved. Texture. Now, this is the manipulation of some of or all of the previous fundamentals in order to create the illusion of a surface being made from a different material. And it is used for, well, exactly that. In order to keep an illustration or design from looking flat or clay-like, you can use value to make surfaces seem more reflective than others, or use lines to make surfaces seem more jagged or rough than others. Form can be used to make some parts of a texture protrude out more than others, and space can even be used to make a surface feel smooth. And of course, perspective will allow you to map the texture onto the surface based on the angle it is being viewed from. Color. Most likely you know what color is, or you at least understand the concept of color. What is more important is understanding color theory, knowing what colors look good together and how they can change the mood of a drawing. Like most steps in drawing, adding color is a technical process that is usually designed into the piece based on its needs. Now, technical doesn't always mean based on math and science, but more so calculated based on experience and knowledge of the medium being used. In understanding color, you can make appealing designs and captivating illustrations that succeed in portraying the idea you were going for. Last but not least, composition. The layout of things on the canvas. Composition is what makes a good drawing look like a good image. Your drawing can be amazing, but if it isn't placed on the page appropriately, it will just seem awkward. And this is with only one item on the page. In bigger illustrations and in film or TV, composition serves to make an image look good and to deliver information. Poor composition could mask the entire point of a drawing, or hide the best parts of it. Understanding the appropriate ways to place items on the page can portray emotion, themes, and ideas even more so than just colors can do. If you combine good composition with the rest of the fundamentals, you can have an outstanding piece of work with even more to follow. But it all starts with practice, which I will be diving into this year. I hope this video was helpful to at least one of you out there. If not, let us know in the comments what could be done better. And if you know of other ways we can level up our art skills, let us know that as well. Also, while you're down there, I would love it if you would subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can see what I do next. But until we meet again, I would just like to say, welcome to Edenwood.